stuff. This is Oldecam.
And this is not a spring chicken. There's a lot of times we love to go on location when we can. And
Well,
because,
look at the background.
well, part of it is we love to bring beautiful sceneries to you. And yes, we can green screen this for you, but as you can probably tell, there's a little bit difference in green screen versus actually being there live.
Yeah, well, we're also doing, because we're going to actually be, since we can't use the beach much anymore because we're only getting 2 to 3 days a month of sun at the beach, we've
been fighting it. We should have gone out. Actually, we probably should have gone out.
But it was too hot because she melts when it gets too hot, so we got a heat problem. Here, the weather, we got big breeze, and actually it was breezing enough a while ago. It blew we blew the tripod over, so it was caught at the last instant before it went down. But it is a big wind out here. She lost her hat and stuff, which is now why the tie thing.
So now I have a different hat for this.
But the day we're going to take advantage of this film location behind us. Think 1930s, 1940s early television westerns.
Oh, that's a separate series.
Yeah, but that's what we're talking about. It's kind of a separate series. But just think of that behind us being shot. This very same shot. We're trying to set up cameras in the positions of which scenes would have been shot for movies or TV shows you would have known. But today we're going to talk about net neutrality.
Ooh. And some of you are going, what is net neutrality and why is that important to me?
It's very important to you because the people on the left want to take over the internet to preserve it for everybody out there's use. But the problem is their idea of taking it over for the preservation of everybody's use is to turn it over to those companies that work both best in the public interest, being major newspapers and broadcast networks.
Well, and part of it is in media, there's all different facets, whether it's the major networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, right?
Yeah, and then there's cables.
And cables. But one of the things is we've discovered a long time is, like, there's conglomerates that own a lot of newspapers.
And
or a lot of TV stations.
And they own a lot of cable. But there's very few that own online, folks.
Yeah, it's true. They don't usually own online as well as the other.
Disney is the only company that owns online. And Disney couldn't figure out how to make it work, so the Go system is strictly a Disney private property. This is why...
And if you're going, what is the Go system?
It was an up-and-coming... It was there before...
It was really big when AOL was really big.
And then
was that, a decade ago?
Yeah, they bought it in order to use the system, to basically... They wanted to do like AOL, put the Disney stuff out on it. Well, basically the Disney stuff is all over the system now. But unfortunately, it doesn't make them any money because they use it just to put promos for Disney on it now.
That's all basically internally, isn't it?
It's an internal thing for their company. If they have like like they'll say they're plugging the movie The Shaggy Dog, they'll plug it off of the Go system. It'll be like go.shaggydog.com, something like that. So, but that's how that works. But net neutrality isn't neutral no matter what they say because...
It's always when they use that word in the title, like net, when they use the neutral word in there, it's not neutral.
Like I said, anything that they're doing in the interest of the public, it's never in the interest of the public.
And it's typically, in the interest of whoever's the proponents for it are using it to either to control it or to make money.
That's right. The figure... The
good old capitalism.
Okay, there is nobody in the mainstream media that can figure out how to make the internet work. So their idea of net neutrality is that we take control of the internet and we bury the SOB once and for all.
Which is what they're planning on doing, isn't it?
Yeah. There will be why Google is fighting it so bad, why Verizon is fighting it so bad. Verizon is a big online organization.
Verizon has Vios.
And Vios, which is basically online, and
Google, for obvious reasons, is huge on the internet.
Yeah, it is YouTube, folks. There is no more viral video if you have net neutrality.
Yes, what would your life be like without YouTube?
Yeah, you would not be seeing this. Well, actually, you would be seeing it, but you would have to do it within the context of what the major news agencies allow you to do. And they would control all the news. Actually, everybody but ours, because we are members, and we are members of the organization, folks. So we're sort of the oddballs on the internet. We're actually members of the organization that want to shut the internet down. But we're the progressive side. There is a progressive side and a side that wants to go back to the old days. And the side that wants to go back to the old days is basically controlled by the President of the United States.
Well, I still remember Leslie Moonves speaking a few years ago at the CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, talking about there's no old media, there's no new media, we're all just media.
Yeah, and Viacom, which he was the head of at that time, was basically trying to shut down YouTube. They're throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at YouTube to put it out of business. And because it's damaging to them. They don't care about the content. The content, they do business with YouTube.
They're one of the major suppliers for them.
Their heart and soul is advertisements done on YouTube. If somebody steals something and puts it up, they don't care. It's the stuff that is said about the product that they're putting up. They'll do critical remarks about something. It goes viral, and all of a sudden they got 5 million people that basically have said, don't watch this thing that's done on Viacom. It's just control. They don't have control over that. So in order to get control, they have to sit there. Like I said, they're the biggest partner that YouTube has. They want to put YouTube out of business so that they can keep the nasty stuff about their company off the air.
Yeah, but as a lot of companies are learning, control is actually one of the major parts about going viral or social media.
You don't have control. You have no control because, like I said, in an instant, I mean, we've had things. And we're an example. A few years ago, before we went into, we changed our plans, which give us unlimited internet access, usage. We thought we were sucking air, like we were drowning doing a rose parade. And basically, there was nobody watching anything that we were doing.
And we're thinking we're putting all this effort into it, and nobody's watching it.
I know. And then all of a sudden, I'm checking on our usage, and we got like about 45 megabytes of. And we had a huge gigabyte thing. They had hit like 1 million. They were hitting 1 million hits a day on our stuff.
Well, what happened was in, a couple of days, we went through almost all of our entire bandwidth for the month.
I mean, it just wiped us out. I mean, if I hadn't caught it.
Well, we caught it.
And the Rose Parade hadn't even happened
yet.
We
upped our usage.
Yeah, we upped the usage. Otherwise, there'd have been no Rose Parade coverage. Because that's how tight we were. Because even though it starts at the end of the December, the Rose Parade isn't until the 1st of January, and we wouldn't have had the day before, which is basically kills the next day. So,
yeah, because we actually start Rose Parade coverage from the 26th of December until January 1st.
And we're talking like on the 29th, actually it was next to the last day of December, the day before, we found out we were in god-awful bad shape. And then it started clicking like 5 million a day. We didn't have enough to do the Rose Parade. But that day alone, we would have lost the entire month. So if we hadn't changed our plan, but that's what can happen on the internet. It doesn't. A person can become like it was the internet that made Susan Boyle the star that she was, because you don't think that they put an old woman on. Yeah. She wouldn't have had a chance. Even middle-aged, even if she had a voice like an angel, like she did, they'd have never allowed her to.
No, they wouldn't have.
But they were forced to because people could hear her sing.
Well, that's actually, that's part of the power of the internet, is things to become incredibly popular.
We had a slight pause in what we were doing on net neutrality because we had a gentleman serving our country that's been rock climbing from the United States Marine Corps Station to 29 Palms. So we had a nice discussion about the movie location site behind us, like he was pointing out that the famous episode of Captain Kirk, and his famous cannon was shot right off to the other side of us. But we're going to go back to net neutrality. Like I said, it is all about control. The President of the United States, when he was able to control the use of the internet, he was all for the internet. But he's discovered something very serious, that the first thing to go when you're out of a job is what?
What, your internet?
Yeah.
Which is why, if you looked at the statistics, how many people used to get their news on the internet?
It was up to about 30%. Now it's down to 9%.
But how long ago was it about 30%? What, last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's down, that's a lot, 21%.
Yeah, because they no longer send out internet bulletins to voters. I mean, we get things because we're press, but the majority of the stuff is no longer sent out on the internet requesting people for assistance. Because the people that their constituency doesn't use the internet, so therefore we have no need of the internet.
Well, and part of it is like, if we were talking about, it's like if you're trying to pay your bills, you're losing your jobs, okay, what are the first things to go? Things that are disposable.
Yeah, the internet is disposable, and cable television next, and then any other form of entertainment. You get rid of all of that stuff.
But you still keep your water, electricity.
You keep the essentials, but you get rid of the non-essentials. But The internet is terrifying to politicians, and it's terrifying to big business. Like I said, Rupert Murdoch, he wants to dump MySpace because he cannot figure out how to make money off it.
Well, I think it always depends on what side of the equation you're on. Like Obama favored it, and he did very, very well when he was getting elected.
Yeah.
Right?
But he lost a constituency.
Because they don't have access